Welcome to Coffee Side Chats, a podcast about anything and everything. My name is Malik,
My name is Janelle.
and this is our podcast. We're going to see how this goes. Got a new mic, kind of excited about that.
It sounds so good. I'm so excited.
Yep, been a long time coming. Really happy about it. So
let us know what you think. We want to know what you guys think about how great Malik sounds now that he has a better mic. It's
I
so
feel
good.
I feel like you're attacking me. I don't appreciate it.
I feel like I have a right to, though, because I got attacked for my poor sound quality. So then I fixed it. And now you fixed yours. So I'm going to return the favor. And now we've come full circle. Ta-da!
Yeah, I guess that's cool.
Speaking of circles, mugs are a circle most of the time. What are you drinking today?
That is a transition right there. So I'm having coffee, per tradition. I'm drinking something called Giant Steps. It's actually part of Blue Bottle subscription that someone gifted me. So
Hey.
kind of excited. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Kind of
No, Blue
heavy.
Bottle is not a sponsor.
Oh, no. No, they're
Uh, cool. How is it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Yeah, on the flavor packet it says, it's really kind of a heavier coffee, which it is, but I like it anyway. No, doesn't bother me at all. I think it's the right amount of overbearing, which is fine.
How do you like coffee subscriptions now that you've done one?
Well, it was very convenient because it's like the next pack just showed up right as I was about, three-quarters of the way through with the first pack. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. I need this in my life forever. But then I get less control over what I get. So,
Yeah.
we'll see.
But the idea is then it would make you more adventurous because you'd get something that you maybe would not get otherwise. But I feel like you're pretty adventurous with your coffee flavors anyway.
Yeah. So maybe I still have been debating if I'm going to go ahead and do one, whether it's Blue Bottle or somebody else. So,
Yeah.
what are you drinking? Are you drinking
I'm
coffee this
drinking
time?
coffee today. I am drinking coffee. I have the mug from the house where I'm house sitting. And I'm drinking some of their coffee. It's Kirkland Columbia Roast. I don't know exactly what it is. It didn't have a lot of description on the giant 3-pound can.
Kirkland. That's the only description it needs.
It's all right. Put some almond milk in it. I've gotten pretty lazy with my black coffee, and I've been taking it with milk and sugar and all the sweet things in it lately because I just do not have the mental capacity to handle, not mental capacity, the mental discipline? I don't know. I'm tired today.
No,
I spent all morning planting trees.
you're coming over to the light side. That's what's happening. Finally, not drinking that disgusting black coffee anymore.
Wow.
About
rude.
time. It's
So
factual.
yeah, I like it.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about the education system from our point of view. This is not going to be some exhausted research, kind of topic, but we're just going to talk about it kind of how we grew up and how we felt about it as we were growing and what things have changed and, are we happy with the changes, upset with how things have changed? And eventually we're going to get to, if we could redo a grade or two, what would that be? So
This was one of the original topics we discussed, and this is kind of the one that propelled me to say that we need to do a podcast. When we were sitting at Banu, I remember sitting at Banu and we talked about the education system for like 20 minutes, it felt like, at least. Just sitting there in the coffee shop, talking about like the flaws that we remembered and the things that we've noticed since we got older. And yeah, that was over a year ago. That was almost 2 years ago now, probably, that we originally talked about this. And now we're finally getting to it, and I'm so scared that we're gonna get to the end and be like, but we didn't talk about it enough.
yeah, definitely was about 2 years ago. Yeah. And we talked about it for 20 minutes and then talked about something else and came back to it for another 20
Yeah.
minutes. It was silly. I was like, well, we might as well just start a podcast because clearly we want to talk too much about random things. So here we are.
I'm so excited. Yeah. So a little bit of background, I guess, slash I'm gonna answer the first question without asking. I'm just gonna answer it. I was homeschooled most of my life. I was homeschooled from the beginning of school until 8th grade, minus a semester in 5th grade. So all of my classmates were my siblings, and we did what's called co-op. And any homeschoolers out there probably know what I'm talking about because almost every homeschooler I've ever met did some sort of co-op where you like go to a class once a week, maybe twice a week, and you go over like either it's an academic class or it's like a craft class or something, and you do that for a little bit. And that was like my entire school experience up until 5th grade. And then after that, I had to go back to it. And I was like, no, but I like public school. Send me back to public school. So the first question is, did you want to go to school? And I'm just going to go answer that because I did. I really wanted to go to school. I'm such an extrovert. I could not handle being at home all day, every day. But then when I did start, I didn't like being at school all day. I was like, can I have shorter days? Like I miss being able to just like finish my classes early and duck out and go do whatever I want to do. Or like finish class. Like I would always do extra work before my birthday so that the whole day of my birthday I didn't have to do any school and I could just bum around and do whatever I wanted to do. But yeah. That's my brief answer to that.
Briefish. So I never minded going to school really when I was younger. It just wasn't a thing that I thought was a big deal. Hey, you get up in the morning, you go to school. That was just part of the day. And I went to a school in Dallas called N.W. Harley, and I had nothing but great teachers. So it made it really easy when you go, and it's fun. Makes it really easy to, go to school because it's not a big deal. When it didn't feel stressful or anything. I never minded getting up early because we had to be there like 7 o'clock because there was breakfast and things like that. So, you go eat breakfast and then you start school and you go, all day, get picked up. I spent time at a rec center after school, got picked up by my grandparents for a while. It was just too easy. It was never stressful and just never really a big deal to me. So I was never really upset about having to go to school. I know not a lot of people are like that, but yeah, it was a normal day to me. It's all I really knew.
Was there ever a point where you didn't like school?
No, not really. I got a giant luck of the draw because I got teachers I liked. Some of my friends really got, by the time they got to 5th, 6th, 7th grade, there were a lot of teachers you really didn't like. And I never really had a teachers I didn't like or a class I didn't want to go to, because even my quote unquote worst teacher was in world history, and history is just something I like. So I didn't really care whether or not she taught it or not. I taught myself. So that was, pretty easy. It wasn't really until I got to college I was like, man, do I really want to go to this class? I've paid for it already, so I might as well go. That's when things changed a little bit.
All right. That's pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever heard anybody who liked all of their teachers. Like I was homeschooled and we did like video classes, and there were some video teachers I didn't like by the time I got to 5th grade.
Yeah, I could see how that could be a little bit of a drag. Even in college when you have to watch a professor do something, I'm just like, okay, this is not fun. I don't want to do this. But I think it really was just a school I went to in elementary. Like it made it so easy from kindergarten through fourth grade. Everything was so good. It wasn't like I ever was upset or, even the principal was great, So it was, I don't know. It was an easy, fun experience when I was younger. So it kind of never jaded me to the idea of school. But I think by the time, if I had a worse elementary experience, then it might be a little bit different by the time I got to middle school, because I moved in 4th grade, started in the new school district in 5th grade. So I started off, in a good spot going into that school. So, and making friends was never that hard, even though I switched schools and everybody had already been together in elementary. So, I was shoehorning myself into everybody's friend group at that point. But hey, it was fine. You made it work. Wasn't happy about leaving the other school, but hey, you don't get to make decisions when you're a kid. You just go where mom, dad tell you to go.
So wait, hold on. Did you you moved to a different district? Okay. You
Yep.
just nodded.
Yep. Moved to a different district. So we lived in Dallas. So I went to a school in Dallas, and when we moved to a Cedar Hill. So at that point, you're way away. So I finished fourth grade in Dallas because we moved basically halfway through the year. But when the fifth grade year started, that was it. I was in Cedar Hill, ISD. So wasn't it was a downgrade, honestly. And Dallas isn't always known for having really good schools, but I happened to go to one of the best elementary schools in the whole city. So I was lucky in that respect. I still don't know how my parents found that school, but it was great. I went there, so.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of kids who will switch. They'll move, at least in my hometown, they would move to a different middle school boundary, but then they'd rejoin with their friends in high school. And so they'd get to high school and be like, oh, all my friends are different now. What do I do now? But I had the benefit of I showed up and all these kids are coming from different middle schools and a bunch of them were coming from the local private school. And they're kind of reblending together. And I got to jump in and be like, oh, I'm just going to join this mixing pot that's already here. And we're all going to make it work. And it worked out really well because nobody was super cliquey about, oh, anybody who went to this middle school are friends and we're not friends with kids who go to a different middle school. Like some kids were, but not enough that it affected me to where I couldn't make friends.
So the only part of school I miss to this day is the lack of extra responsibility. And it's not even a part of school, it's just a side effect of going to school. Because it was so easy to just kind of go to school, do what you're going to do, maybe work a part-time job. It was whatever, the most laissez-faire life ever. And I was like, I have responsibility day after day after day after day after day. But these are a little bit bothersome now, but it's fine. It's fine. Managing adults is great. I love it.
You put so many after days in there that I was like, oh my gosh, it never ends. You're gonna make me so sad, Malik. But you and I had very different high school experiences as far as responsibility. I felt like I was an adult at 16. Whereas all my friends, they would have a summer job working at the local water park, or they had a weekend job, so they were really upset about having to give up their Saturdays and Sundays. But I was like, I'm working every night. And I was editor-in-chief of our high school newspaper, which I'm just always stressed about everything. And then adding that made everything even worse. And then I was also in theater, so I just had so many responsibilities to begin with, and I was taking college classes. And so I just stressed myself out. So I remembered senior year just breaking down and struggling so much that whole a couple of months of just this is rough because I had so many responsibilities and I was paying for my car, and adulthood started in high school for me.
Yeah. See, my dad never really wanted me to work in high school. I chose to work. It was kind of one of those things where I just, I worked at a job because I wanted to have extra money because Malik has expensive taste. Anyone who knows me for more than 2 months, 3 months would know real quick, Malik likes to buy things that are not necessarily the most economical. Let's call it that. Let's call it economical.
Oh man, have I ever heard a truer statement?
Yeah, it was great. So, when I wanted a new pair of shoes, guess what? I had to go work and get the most expensive pair of shoes I felt like buying that day. It was silly. I bought expensive backpacks for books, regular backpacks. Not even that I needed a expensive backpack, but hey, that's a Swiss gear and it's on the higher end of them. All right, whatever, just bought it. So that was a life of just not really having a whole lot of other things to pay for because I didn't have a car note or anything like that. So It was just, yeah, my friends, gave me rides places, so I didn't need to go. I need to have a car, not for a while, not until I basically went off to college. So, hey, it was great.
I don't think I ever miss any part of school except like elementary school years when life was just maximum chill. Like you couldn't go anywhere on your own, but I was thinking about this the other day. My mom was so good about if we committed to something, she would make sure you could get there. Even if you had to like stay later or ride with somebody else or like help her arrange a carpool or something, like she always made sure you got where you needed to be. It just was a little bit harder to commit to things because I couldn't get myself anywhere. But like 4th and 5th grade, those were prime. I loved 5th grade. That was so fun. I do miss 5th grade because I was playing trumpet. I was in public school for the first semester. I was taking the bus to school. I met little boys who liked me, and I was like, this is the most flattering thing in the world.
That's fantastic.
I liked 4th and 5th grade. Those were good years.
Mm. If I had to run anything else back, I would definitely run back. Give me sophomore, junior, senior year of high school again. I would redo those in a heartbeat. Had so much fun. The whole lack of responsibility thing. Just do your schoolwork. I mean, I finished 13th in my class, so it wasn't like I was hurting for schoolwork. Like I did what I needed to do. But I also
Wait, you were number 13 too?
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Ah, there we go. Yep. So, I could do what I wanted to do. So it wasn't like a big deal. I did my schoolwork. And so, hey, my mom had a very simple rule. You do your schoolwork, you make good grades, you can do what you want to do. So guess what? I worked to make sure on the weekends I had my freedom. So, yeah, I would run those years back again. Yep, I definitely run them back again.
I think I would this is like the one inkling of overachiever I've ever had in my body is I think I'd go back to freshman year and just work harder because like I did not put in very much effort freshman year. It was just a wash, and maybe have done pre-AP science instead of regular science. And like just put more effort in freshman year. But if there was a year that I could do that was just the most fun, see, I would say 5th grade, but we moved in 5th grade, and I just was an emotional wreck for the second half of the year. So I would not want to do that again. So we moved in 5th grade, but that also meant that I got to experience a little taste of the Ohio education system, the Texas education system, and now that I live in Oregon, I work in the school system to some degree, and I got to see the Oregon education system. So I have like just a snippet of each. I wasn't like super ingrained in any of them, but they are all very different. Like, first off, did you know that Texas and Tennessee are the only ones that do independent school districts?
Huh, fun fact. Did not know.
That really took me by surprise when I started working up here. I was like, what do you mean? What's an ESD? Where are the ISDs? Why is this different? What is going on? I was so confused. I was like, everybody else does it the way Texas does it. And I looked it up. I was like, oh no, Texas is the weird one. Of course. We always are.
Because Texas, that's the whole reason. Because Texas.
It really is genuinely because of the oil boom of Texas. Like, legitimately.
Okay. Education, oil. Let's go. Yeah, that makes sense. Wrap them together.
If you're interested in it, you should go look it up because I haven't looked it up in a long time, so I'm not 100% sure on the details, but there's that. So Texas is like more insular about their school districts. And then Oregon seems more like we're going to invest in the whole county, and then the county's going to split it up in a odd way that like even though I'm in the building that splits up the services, I still don't understand how it works all the time, and I still get really confused. It's weird.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But in Ohio, I was only there for one semester, and I was in 5th grade, so I wasn't really paying attention. But in Ohio, at least in my county, middle school technically started in either 4th grade or 7th grade. But in Texas, middle school started in 6th grade. And here in Oregon, it also kind of starts in 6th grade.
Fun part about the when does middle school start thing in Texas, those whole independent school districts. So
Uh-huh.
my elementary school went through sixth grade, and so seventh and eighth grade were middle school, right? When I moved to Cedar Hill, they did pre-K through fourth grade. Fifth and sixth grade were intermediate school, a transition, and then you went middle school, seventh, eighth, and then high school, ninth through 12th. But by the time I got to ninth grade, it was its own center by itself. So it was a ninth grade center, and then high school was really 10th through 12th. It was very strange. It got weird.
Was the ninth grade center on the same campus as the rest of the high school, though?
No, it was not. It
Oh.
was not close. We had to be bused. Kids that would normally be able to walk to school had to be bused to the ninth grade center. So the city was growing kind of fast, so they decided to build a separate thing for the freshmen. I don't really know. It didn't help us transition better to high school because then all the sophomores just became the freshmen. Like it wasn't like you got used to being around that many more people. So it was a weird kind of silly thing. They still do, but I never thought it made any sense. But the building was new and nice and wasn't torn and old and rickety like the high school. So, there was that.
That's super weird. That's so weird. Like, we had a freshman center on campus, but it was like a separate building that housed most of the freshman classes, but it was still on the same campus. And as a freshman, I was only in the building for, I think, 4 classes out of 8. And then I was on the rest of the campus for the rest of the classes.
No, we were completely isolated. It was very strange.
Weird.
Yeah, it was so crazy because at first they were like, oh, we're gonna have like little restaurants and stuff down, and it was gonna be this whole like different experience. They basically they were supposed to break everybody into houses, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, they were at like all the Ivy Leagues, 4 Ivy League schools kind of broken up. And that was how all your classes were supposed to be in each house. So each house would have AP teachers, pre-AP teachers, everything in each house. So you would basically get to know your quad of the school very well. That lasted halfway through the summer, and we got all our schedules, and suddenly you were going, oh, I got to go run over down to Duke Hall, then up to Princeton, and then over to Yale because nothing was laid out even close to sensible. So then all the classes, they basically took all the classes and put them, like all the pre-AP classes, put them on one side. So if you didn't have like this pre-AP class, oh, then you have a regular class over here, so you got to across the building for it. Oh, but you know what? Yeah, we'll put the math, science and reading classes, but then the Spanish pre-AP class is going to be across the school because that makes sense too. So the whole house thing just fell apart so quickly. They went to regular lunches. It was like, okay, now we're not gonna do these fancy things anymore. We're just gonna do regular school lunches. It was such a nice concept because we went there before it opened so we could take a tour. We could see it. And man, if it did not fall apart so fast. It turned into just a regular old high school, But now it has essentially like the collegiate high school, basically, where you do high school and college class at the same time. So it houses that and the freshmen. So it was theoretically a good experiment, but it failed.
What is that quote? The road to, this is gonna sound terrible because I'm gonna say it wrong. The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Or the road to a reasonable education system in Cedar Hill, Texas, is paved with bad planning. It was ridiculous. The building was nice though. I will give them that. The building was nice.
So throughout all of that, did you understand like what was happening at the higher level, like what is it called, the school board was thinking through all of this and how that was working, like all the background stuff?
Well, it was kind of the same, initially kind of the same way they took away independent dress code, where now everyone went to having uniforms because supposedly, this is what the school board said, that everyone having nicer clothes, like having kids with nicer clothes than the other kids, was distracting. Having competent teachers might have been a better solution than, assuming that, hey, we'll just make everybody dress the same and something that's going to take all the classism out of high school. I don't think so. Did nothing to solve any of those problems, because that started when I was in 6th grade, because in 5th grade, I could wear whatever I wanted to school. And then in 6th grade, it was like, hey, we're switching to standardized dress. You couldn't even wear jeans unless the school, like your class, earned a jean day. It was lunacy for a while. It was not really anything. So I'm sure someone told them that breaking everyone into houses are going to, foster, a joint effort. Now everyone's going to have so much camaraderie and everything, but so great. And it was foolish just because you didn't have enough teachers to fill all the classrooms. Kind of doesn't work if you don't have a school full of teachers, and then you don't have enough qualified teachers to teach the advanced classes, because then you just shove everybody into, too many kids per teacher, which we know is a problem. And so, yeah, it just fell right on apart, because there were empty classrooms at first when we first started there. It's a new school, new everything, and apparently they couldn't get anybody to fill the classrooms. It was kind of laughable. But yeah, it just seemed like it was a bunch of the same old, we're doing this for everyone to feel like they're equal, but then we're going to separate you guys, but then we're not going to separate you last second, but then not tell anybody that your classes were going to be all over the school. It was the most ridiculous. Like someone had a really good idea and it just completely and utterly fell apart a week before the school year started.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We didn't have anything quite that dramatic. Ugh. So did you, going through school, by the time you graduated, did any of it make more sense, or did your perception of what the school board did your perception of what the school board do change at all from freshman year to senior year?
No, it was lunacy the whole time. Because every time they make some policy change, it was just because some parent complained because their special little star feel like they weren't being treated right or something. And it was like, okay, everybody can't make straight A's. If your kid hasn't earned it, well, guess what? Stop trying to make it easier for kids to get A's. It's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, AP classes are AP classes for a reason. They're not supposed to be easy. They're supposed to be college level. Like, don't dumb down the classes. Don't try to use the AP kids to boost the overall school's scores. For what? Stop wasting our time with stuff that didn't make any sense. It never got any better. It only got worse, frankly. But it's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep on doing this stupid grind and get out of here and go do something else with my time, because this was silly. Like at a certain point, the AP classes weren't even challenging. Like, they just were like regular, okay, well, class again. Like, it just wasn't even that difficult to pass. And like, it should be kind of hard. That's kind of the point, to push you to see which kids can actually make it, which kids going to drop, have to go back to regular. But no, that's not what happened. It got easier. It was stupid.
Yeah, like AP classes were a little bit harder than regular classes, but not so much so that I ever felt like it was worth taking regular, except for science. For science, I always took regular classes because AP kids had to do science fair, and I did not want to do science fair. I was like, there's no way you can make me do it. I'm not going to do it. So I just didn't take AP classes. But then I got teachers who, knew that they had the kids who didn't care about school. So then they didn't care about my education. So then I felt like I was missing out.
Yeah, I can see how that can happen. It was one of those things where when I first started, my sophomore year AP classes were much harder. By the time junior year got around, they were just like, okay, marginally harder than regular classes. The only benefit is you got to practice for the AP test, which you could go take and get paid to pass. So that was nice. So
you got paid to take the AP class or AP test?
If you passed it, you got a certain amount where you got a 3 or a 4, and then you got more if you got a 5. So yeah,
what? We
had an incentive to kind of push and go take it. Because it looks good for the school when you got half the AP kids taking the test, especially if more than half of those kids pass. It makes it even better.
all the AP kids had to take the test. But the only incentive you had to take the test, or the only like reward you got for taking the test, was then you didn't have to pay for that college class. Because then if you had to take that class in college, you didn't have to take that class in college if it was a required class.
Yeah, we double dipped basically. Like you got a little, a little cash from the school, and you got to not have to take that class. It was great.
Spoiled
on one of my
urban
classes,
kids.
On one of my classes, I took the dual credit class anyway. So literally, I took the test to get paid for it. Like I was guaranteed to get the credit even if I didn't pass the test. So I was like, screw it, might as well. They wanted to take it, so let's just go take it.
Oh my gosh. I think while I was in high school, like I knew the school board was kind of ridiculous and didn't always understand what they were doing, but they kind of just left us alone in high school and didn't really mess with what we were doing too much until they passed a school bond, which was fine. I was like, cool, you're going to build a new school that you've been trying to like get money to build a new school for a long time. But they put in a stipulation that they were going to spend $5 million on a new Jumbotron for the football team. For a football team that I think the whole time I was there won 2 games out of 4 years. It was probably better than that, but like it felt like 2 games. And I was like, you're going to spend $5 million on a Jumbotron?
Look here. Let me tell you something. When we were in high school, they redid the football field. They had won the state championship my freshman year. So, all right, cool, new football field. They had to redo the field back-to-back years because the person they hired to do it the first time did a crappy job of it, and it wasn't a good field. And they ended up having to redo it. It was silly.
I think they redid the field like the year before my freshman year. So like when I was in 8th, or like going into 8th grade, they redid the field. And they're redoing it again now or something. So they like made it last a little while. But the field at the school where I am now, the high school here, I'm pretty sure they've redone it. They started redoing it when I first got here, and they're going to redo it again next year. I'm like, I haven't even been here for 2 years.
That's what happens when they don't do it well the first time. That's what happens. Like you get screw ups like that. But got spoiled. I mean, when you win enough, you can convince people to buy fields. That's not, whatever. We won 2 championships in 5 years, I believe it was. So, you win enough, no one cares how much you spend on a football field. But when other sports were suffering and having lots of problems, it was kind of hard to stomach. But hey, that's how it goes in Texas. Football's king.
I know. It killed me that football was king. Our soccer team was killer. The boys' soccer team would win games all the time. They were so good. Like, easily one of the best teams in the area, if not the state. Like, one of the top teams all the time. And they got 0 recognition from the school. I don't know about the parents because I never went to any of the games for anything. I went to football games as a senior because I was a flag runner. But, like the soccer team, I knew they were so good. And I would tell people all the time, like, oh yeah, our soccer team's awesome. Our football team, like, I'm not kidding, maybe won a game a year. Never won a championship as long as I was there. And they were lauded as the heroes of the town. I was like, they're garbage.
Football. You know what? you can't even explain football. Now, mind you, I'm a big football fan. I watch football all the time. So I understand, like, it just sometimes dominates, especially high school athletics. Even if you're, they're not that good. Now, mind you, my high school was really good, so you get kind of spoiled. So when I went to college and we weren't good at football, it was very tough to swallow.
I really want to go back and look at the record for UT while I was there, because I'm pretty sure they also won like 2 games in the 3 years I was there.
It was never that bad, but they definitely didn't have a winning record. I know, because I was at the games, so I know we didn't have a winning record.
We didn't go the same time, though.
Yeah, but they were a little bit better.
Okay.
When the first year I was there, they won 5 games, and I almost threw up. So there was that. But coming off a, you know, decade and a half string of winning games like crazy, that's a big drop off. But we're not going to talk about Texas football right now because it still isn't any better, frankly. But we're not going to talk about it. We're just gonna ignore it. We're going to pretend like it's not even a thing right now.
Fair. We'll ignore it. I think now that I'm an adult, going back to the education system and specifically high school education, like as a high school student, I just knew they were kind of crazy but didn't mess with them. But now that I'm an adult, I look at it and like there's so much drama and it is so political all the time. And nobody, like every school board meeting I've ever been to for different school boards, not always the same school board, nobody really seems to get along. Except one school board meeting I went to, that school, they seemed to get along, but they also seemed like we are all on the same page and we're going to pass everything that we pass because we all agree and there's zero contention. And I was like, that also doesn't seem healthy, but in like a reverse way of like, there's no growth. It's just what these old white men want to happen. But yeah, like it just gets worse the older I get.
Yeah, because I mean, like so many other things is us versus you. And even if we technically agree on the end goal, no one ever agrees on how to get there. And they start going all bananas about stuff. It's like, okay, how about we find a way to get to the same goal? We can figure it out together. But no, everyone just wants to yell and be right. And no one ever wants to listen. So it's like so many other things. Heck, it's like my job.
True. So now that you're an adult and you're married,
yeah,
or even before you were married, did you ever think about like which school you would want your kids to go to if you were to ever have kids?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about college, then yeah, they need to go to Texas. I mean, that's just what it is. Texas and Austin. Now, I will support them going other places if they really, really want to. But
you're a legacy builder.
Yeah, I would like to not have any Sooners as children. So there is that. No. Texas Tech Raiders either. Don't really want any of those in the family. Definitely no Aggies. So really, they can go to like one of the smaller UT schools like UTD or something other than that. But these other U of H. They go to U of H. Yeah, U of H is okay because that's not a direct rival. And it doesn't give me, chills to even think about it. So that's cool. As far as college, then yeah, Texas or U of H or out of the state, except for Oklahoma. Nowhere in Oklahoma. Not Oklahoma State, not Oklahoma University, nothing.
What about the other UO?
Which one? Who's that?
The University of Oregon. I always switch it. It's UO or OU, not OU. What if you switch the letters and you send them to UO?
Oregon wouldn't be too bad. But they will put them pretty far away from me if I need to rescue them from something stupid they've done. But you know what? They got to deal with it.
But they have an aunt up here.
Yeah, but are you going to be willing to run and save them every time they do something stupid? Maybe.
How many times do you expect your kids to be so stupid that I'm going to have to come save them?
Are
you raising up kids? They're not even born yet. You already think they're stupid.
Look. Until proven otherwise, I think most kids are kind of crazy and they don't have much common sense. I just think that's factual. No matter how hard you try as parents to make sure they do have common sense, they just will go do what they want to do. So you just hope that, most of the time they make good decisions. That's what I'm expecting. Now, if they turn out to be, little angels, that'd be great. But I don't see that coming because they're going to be probably kind of like me in some way, and that's not going to be good for everybody.
Maybe I don't want to go save them every time then. Did I tell you that my little brother is going to A&M?
Yes, you told me, and I'm still not forgiving him for it. It's not his fault.
You don't even know this brother.
Doesn't matter. I still don't have to forgive him.
Like, I do not care. I'm like, all right, have fun. Like, go to A&M. Be an Aggie. Enjoy. I think it's a little culty, but have fun.
I have forbidden all of my siblings from doing anything such. Like, you don't go to A&M. I can really, if I had to deal with Tech, you would be out in Lubbock, but I can deal with that. No OU, no A&M. No. You want to go? Don't get in trouble. Don't call me.
What about Bama?
Oh, they may come back really backwards, and I don't really I don't necessarily want that to happen to them. Let me be honest. They'd probably have fun at football games, but man, I don't know if I want to live in that state too long.
Mm-mm. I would have a hard time sending my kids to Alabama. But they gotta do what they gotta do.
But as far as like, primary school or whatever, public school, they'll be public school the whole time. Just don't have to go ride it out. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
I said, hopefully we live in a place with a really good education, system there, or I'm gonna have to send them somewhere else. If I have to drive them across town, I will.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this more since I'm working in the elementary schools here. If I had to pick one for my kids, which ones would I send them to? Because I'm working directly with the teachers, directly with the principals, directly with like the office staff and meeting the parents and like working with the kids. And I very quickly, like as soon as I walk onto campus, I can decide like I would not want my child to go here. No. So I've like narrowed it down to my favorite 3 out of the 8. I'm like, okay, if I had a choice, I would want them to go to one of these 3.
You plan on being in that town for a little bit, huh? Huh? Scoping out
I don't
elementary
know.
schools. That's pretty. That's some roots right there. Yes, I'm just causing trouble. I know exactly what I'm doing.
Mean. Okay, it's not that mean. I do this with everything though. Like I remember in Ohio thinking like if this is the house I live in for the rest of my life, this is what it's going to look like. It's just how my brain works.
I'm glad you didn't stay in Ohio. That's not good for anybody. No.
If I'd stayed in Ohio, I never would have met you. Then we wouldn't be having this fight right now.
Yep, over basically nothing, which is fantastic.
Literally.
The way I like the fights.
Yes, me too. All right. Well, I think we could talk about the education system for the rest of our lives, but we probably will. But as far as today's podcast goes, we're going to end it here. And Malik is going to edit this to make it nicer, neater, and shorter. And we're going to let you guys go. And we'll talk more about this another time. Yeah, thanks for listening. As always, you can reach out to us at Twitter and Facebook at Coffeeside Chat. Or you can email us at coffeesidepodcast@gmail.com. And we are working on an Instagram, but we are having technical difficulties. And the whole social media network is causing me frustration. So we're taking it slowly. We're figuring it out. Once we have it up, it will be on the Facebook page and the Twitter, and we will let you guys know where it is. Also, I got a notification today that we have been on Twitter for 1 year as Coffeeside Chat.
Wow, go figure. Wow, okay.
That's crazy. But yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye.